So how do you think this problem is that comfortable to solve, or
I don't know. I don't really know what you mean by construct a table, but other than that, I think it's
okay? Construct a table is like, yeah, I didn't show it in the lecture, but usually you can see in the like a textbook, any textbook show that table showed you some information. So like before you drawing a PPF, right? You can build up the table instead of functional form. So basically summarizing the information that, oh, this is America, this is the Korea, and one is a car, and another product is a grain, and how many output can be produced total in US and total in Korea, given in the information. By doing so, you can draw PPF, right? 100 million workers right here, so same thing. You can, unit changes as a 100 million, then you can writing down 4 cars in US and 4 cars in Korea and 10 tons of grains, so 10 in Korea, and additionally US side, you're making a table out of it. Clear? And then without table, yeah, obviously you are smart enough to draw PPF, right? We see how to do it. And then figure out which country has absolute advantage of one good or another good. And in this case, one part is a little bit confused, but you will figure that out. And comparative advantage purpose. If table is there, easily compare or easily calculate the opportunity cost because the table number is right there and then summarize it already. Got it? So you have a good understanding of what does that table means. I'll show you in a minute, but anyone else? Let me hear. Minzo?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think? Comfortable to solve these questions?
Yes.
Hello? I can hear you well.
Yes.
You say yes?
Yes.
Okay. So no problems. Okay. How about John Eugene? So let me hear your answer for question number 4 then.
I think absolute advantage in producing cars.
Okay, which country?
I think in producing cars, I bet absolute advantage. America has the absolute advantage in producing cars.
Okay.
Oh, I have kind of problems like solving the problem, this question, but it's kind of tricky.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. That's I don't want to push you that much, but he answered the question for the number 4. Absolute advantage of in producing cars, Korea does have it. Anybody agree with it? Or number 1, he's right. Number 2, I don't think so. Vote it right now. Let's do it. Yeah, sorry to see this like a response. But yeah, I'm sorry for using. Everybody disagree your answer. So So you think that everybody think that car cases have US have absolute advantage? So anyone, feel free to answer. Number 4. Car cases.
I think Korean workers have. Oh, sorry, it's absolute advantage. So, sorry. I think in American. Oh, I think nobody have absolute advantage in producing cars because they can produce exactly the same numbers of car.
Okay, who are you?
I'm Itaeun.
Oh,
Seon-ii.
Seon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both countries produce the same amount of production of cars, so there is no absolute advantage, or both have it. That's Ailika. Yeah. Thanks for the answer. Same answer for like Seon. Seon. Yeah. Anybody disagree with this? Everybody agree with this? Number 1. Disagree. Number 2. What do you think? Voted 1. Okay. Eugene, now what do you think? Do you agree with this? Okay. He didn't say anything, but I think he agreed with this. Terhusen? Same answer? Did you vote it?
Yes. They,
Okay. Okay, so you agree with that nobody has any absolute advantage in producing cars. But grains, obviously we know, right? US has an absolute advantage. Sometimes absolute advantage can be belong to one country, like both of goods are absolute advantage. That's what I brought in the lecture this week, right? But there is the way to make both countries have gains from trade using the concept of comparative advantage. Comparative advantage can be determined by looking at opportunity cost. At this time, during the lecture, I didn't explicitly show opportunity cost of each one of the goods, but you can guess it. Opportunity cost, in other words, we learned in from the PPF class or PPF lecture, the slope of PPF. In other words, we can measure as opportunity cost. So it varies when you draw the x-axis or y-axis as the cars or grain. If you pick one, good instead of others, the mathematical slope is a little bit different, right? But you may get it as the slope, as opportunity cost. So I think you have a pretty good understanding of this part. So let me erase these questions for a while and I'll show you. So I just making a photo what I've already solved for this question. The resolution is a little bit different, but exactly same question we had, right? So one by one, let's figure this out. The setup itself is US and Korea, like the same setup. It doesn't matter like whatever country or who, like an individual name, Tom and Wilson, or whatever name it is. That's just a metaphor, right? Just a changing of X and Y, or A and B, country A, country B. That doesn't matter at all. But yeah, we can figure that out, and more realistic examples to draw our attention. That's why I make this American and Korean workers can produce each 4 cars a year. And we setting up that, for simplicity, 100 million workers exist in each country. Good. So America can produce 400 million cars in a year. Korea also 400 million cars a year, if they only produce cars. But in number 4 questions, we already think about it, right? The 400 millions of cars can be produced in Korea, in US, by their own technology. So they don't have any absolute advantage for this car productions. So you answered correctly with the matter. But we can figure that out competitive advantage concept a little bit later. So yeah, one by one, let's see. We read that this all information can be summarized with this small table. I wrote a US as America and KOR as Korea. Car production, right? 4 and 4, you needed 1 million units. 100 million units. So 400 million cars can be produced in US. Max, Korea cases, 400 millions. Grains, 1,500 millions of production per year. Each country has this kind of, capacity of a production of each goods. So by doing so, we can plug in. I setting up the PPF space, x-axis or horizontal axis as cars and vertical axis as grain. Right? Korea cases 400 million. Again, the unit is 100 million, so I abbreviate 100. So 4 as US and Korea is the same, the point. And Korea have 5 grains, 500 million tons of grain, and 1,000 million tons of grain in US. So PPF can be drawn easily like this. Just make sure, right? This is easy so far, right? Everybody, I think, yeah, this is easy enough. So drawing a PPF is good for America and Korea economy. I can draw both each one of, spaces of car and grains and 2 of them, but I merge it together, right? And sometimes we draw this with the same kind of space with, like can you imagine that total production of grains can be possible in worldwide. Worldwide PPF can be drawn mixed with these 2 lines. So in worldwide, 15 grains can be produced, right? So somewhere here, like somewhere here is the maximum point, and the 4 and 4, so will be 8 is here. Please think about this. How can you merge this? All right? So it is not just a straight line from the 15 to 8. Okay? So brain teaser. And somebody figure out and show me correctly, I'll give you extra credit point. So think about that and let me know later about that, about your answer. All right? First one, send me or message or email. I'll give you the extra point, extra credit for it. So merged PPF, worldwide PPF. Like we believe that only Korea and US exist in the world right now, right? It's a simple model. So think about worldwide PPF, the shape of it. Okay, and let's move on to the number 3. For United States, what is opportunity cost of a car or of grain for Korea? What is that, right? That is the answer right here. Oh yeah, that's a little bit weird looking, units and words, but US opportunity cost for car, right? Each one of the car you want to produce, you need to give up 2.5 grains. How did I get it? 10 divided by 4, or the slope of this PPF line. Because x-axis is car, so we base on the cars, change of x, additional 4 you produce, you need to give up 10. So negative 2.5 is the slope of this PPF. Everybody agree with this? So if you change the axis with the car and grains, the slope should be negative 0.4. How could I get it? 4 divided by 10, right? If you producing 10 more grains, you need to give up 4 cars. So -4 divided by 10, which is 0.4. Slope itself is negatively related, we know it, but opportunity cost in the car, 1 more car produced, you need to give up 2.5 grains. That's how we can see the opportunity cost of US. Everybody follow me. Clear? Clear enough? Good. So far so good, right? This one, yeah, we don't need any extra explanation about this, I believe. We are smart enough to understand this, right? 5 divided by 4, 1.25, opposite of it, 0.8. Good. 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. So opportunity cost of each one is calculated, right? And then we now determine which one has competitive advantage of each goods in this case. So which country had competitive advantage of grain? Number
United
1,
States.
US, and number 2, excuse me? Yeah, you can say it, don't worry about it. United States have, United States have a comparative advantage of grains. Okay. If you agree with the second, number 1, disagree, number 2, let's go. Unanimous so far. Like I didn't get 100 answer, I believe, but yeah, good. Yeah, Gichan voted 4 times, 1, 1, 1, 1. So good, everybody. I hope everybody just, think about this and get the right answer, just not to following the one as, following someone else's idea. So far so good, right? Compare with opportunity cost. So grain cases, opportunity cost. 1 more production of grain in US, 0.4 cars is necessary, but in Korea, 0.8. So the cost is bigger in Korea, cost is less in US. So less is better as a cost perspective. US has comparative advantage in producing grain. Exactly same reason Korea have comparative advantage in car production. Everybody, good? Good. Then comparative advantage pattern is determined, then trade pattern is determined. Get it? So what you're gonna do is US produce grains more and Korea produce cars more and trade each other. By doing so, both countries have mutual benefit after trade. So that's what you're gonna see. Well, let's see. In this case, Korea's PPF is less. The size is smaller than US, right? Even though we share the 4 as the point production of cars, but Korea PPF is left-hand side relative to the US. In this case, Korea's economy is smaller than US. Capacity of economy is smaller than US. Then in this case, Korea should be specialized in comparative advantage goods. So Korea comparative advantage in producing car. So Korea specialized to produce car. Before that, let's think about that. Yeah, general assumption what it did before in the lecture 2. Like in this case, Korea and US before trade, they can produce any point on top of PPF, but we assume that simply they just share half and half production of cars and grains and they consume it. Then we can find the midpoint. Korea case is 2,2.5, US case is 2,5. So that's the point what I draw right here and right here. Good? Everybody following me, right? Half and half. But now what type of production is possible to make out of PPF. By doing so, we can, prove that, oh, there is gains from trade. Before trade, we could not achieve outside of PPF, but after trade, we can enjoy outside of PPF, which is originally impossible to achieve. We cannot produce that outside of the PPF point, but after trade, we can achieve that point. That's how we show the gains from trade. Right before trade, we cannot consume that much, but now we can do improvement of, utilities or happiness. So that's what we are going to show. So let's imagine that Korea specialized only producing a car. So after trade, Korea's production is 4,0, which means that Korea only produce car. Make sense? So this point, Korea produces this point. And US cases is a little bit difficult to find it, but I, theoretically build up this point, 2 point I want to get out of this, calculation, how much we need. So first thing we want to achieve is like that. Let's see this before trade. BT is shown as a before trade as the mark. 2,2.5 and 2,5 is produced. At that time, worldwide, how many cars and grains are produced? 4,7.5 is produced. We should have more than 4 of cars and more than 7.5 of grains. By doing so, we share each other with some trade patterns or export and import some goods, and then we figure out, outside of PPF can be enjoyable after trade. So this is a reference, like a bottom line for think about, point. So 4 is necessary, but we need more than 4. So I think that, 0.5, US just produce 0.5 as a car. Yeah, can we divide the, cars as 0.5? Sure, we missing this like 100 millions. So it is not the, very bad assumption out of it. So I just using the 0.5, but that is a 50 million cars of production you can think of. And then under that point, 0.5, how many grains can it produce? Well, you can draw this linear function easily, right? The linear function slope, we know that, negative 2.5. So y is equal to negative 2.5x plus y, intercept, vertical intercept is 10. It's a given. So I can get this line as a mathematical function like this. Everybody? Yeah, this is a middle school math, right? As long as we know these 2 points, we can get this straight line as a function. Even we know the slope, so easily we can figure out this functional form. And then we know, if we US produce 0.5 cars, then you plug in X value right here, and then you figure that out 8.75 is the Y value. So somewhere like a 0.5 and 8.75 right here is a production point for US. Korea right here and US produce right here, and then share each other. Like Korea, they enjoy like a 2.25, and they export 1.75 cars to US. Then US ultimately 1.75 plus 0.5 they produce domestically. Add them together, 2.25 can be consumed in US. So that's somewhere right here, 2.25 as a car consumption of both country. And correspondingly, we can see, right? And then 8.75 of grain is produced, but US enjoy more than 5 want to get the more than 5, then let's say, for example, 5.75 can be domestic consumed, then remaining part 3 can be export from US to Korea, then Korea can enjoy consumption of 3. So probably the point of each other, like 2.25 comma 5.75 is right here outside of PPF, and the US case is, yeah, right here, 2.25 and 5.75. In Korea case is 2.25 comma 3 is outside of here. All right, that's kind of scenario. Again, in the lecture, I told you before that, oh, is this kind of, you know, manually you need to put this all the time like this? Actually, it is not happening in real world, because each one of the country have, you know, citizen does have a preference and a taste of consumption of goods. Some country love, you know, consuming the car more. Some country enjoying more grain more. If it is like rice or wheat or a different country, it does have different taste of each one of grains, right? So that is exactly determined in the market. But at this point, we are not just applying for each one of the countries' preference or, you know, indifference curve. You're gonna learn about this kind of theory in consumer theory and intermediate microeconomics class. But there is a lot of assumption going on. So I want to introduce each one of them today. You will learn it later. Because of that, I didn't brought up the idea of indifference curve or, you know, utility functions. Once we have that, we can find out exact solution out of it. But, you know, I just assume that original point is half and half consumption, but now after trade, we can achieve outside of PPF. That is as a, you know, indirect proof of gains from trade under the sense of comparative advantage. So if you are not comfortable with this, you should, you know, study yourself and ask me about all the questions the part of you are not understanding. As I promised, right, in the midterm, 100% this type of question will be on. Well, you have 1 week to study by yourself and to get the right answer, and you can ask your friends about it, and then you can study together, and then you can figure that out. But that is later. But you need to spend on time on this to understand perfectly. Right now, you can fix it with me if you ask a question. And also, you are clear about this. Yeah, no need to worry about 1 question down. I usually giving out 4 questions, like this type of thing. I didn't make these kind of all 5 questions, sub questions. So I like 1 big question out of like 2, 3 sub questions to, you know, think correspondingly, you get the right answer out of that. So the midterm exam should be composed with the big 4 questions of different topics, and you need to do some, you know, summarize a table, drawing a graph, or some small algebraic functional, you know, thing, and get the right answer out of it. That's what I'm going to ask for you. So midterm will be very easy, and almost everybody will get the, you know, perfect point out of it, even though, you know, final will be more trickier to giving out or differentiate student scores. By doing so, I can give out the letter grade for you guys. So yeah, it's a like a homework type, but, you know, you have enough time to do it. If you have any question earlier, and I'm thinking that, you know, you guys are, yeah, more knowledgeable and skill level is higher than I used to teach. So I used to teach in US, you know, University of Buffalo, and in the Pennsylvania, a very small, you know, rural school, Bloomsburg University and Chungbuk University in Korea, and now I'm teaching Sungkyunkwan University. I believe that Sungkyunkwan University student is the highest skill level, as I believe. So I may have adding some kind of tricky question in the middle of it, but I think you guys can figure out easily, and you can yeah, as I told you, you can study together to get the right answer. So midterm should be, easy and enough time to do it. While doing so, you can study and understand what the concept I'm going to empathize. Well, final exam, I hate to giving out the cumulative exam. So I try to cover the next part of what he finished as a midterm for the final exam part, but this economic concept itself is sometimes, we used a lot of mathematical modeling. So the concept wise, modeling wise, skill wise, you are doing this PPF and doing some, market analysis sooner or later, then that is applying to the next level or next analysis. So you might think that, Dr. O doesn't like to cumulative exam, but this question should look like cumulative. But the reason is I try to cover the next one or new content after midterm, but it is the model itself and the bottom line theory is applied from the beginning part of this semester. So don't feel bad about that. I don't want that hard part of it, but still we need to understand beginning part of it. By doing so, you can easily understand next and next. So catching up the contents constantly is a good habit to understand or to successful in this course, as I believe. So any other question, like a course or setups and lectures, video editing, voice, whatever it is you can come up with to improve what we're doing so far and what I'm doing, so far. Any comments? When will be the final exam be? Not sure. Usually school has a final exam schedule. So I basically want to following that the scheduled time. If it is not easy for everybody, let me know. I'm willing to change or giving you a favor about that. Well, I don't think we need a calculator, but if you need it, midterm wise, you can borrow all the book from the library and then you can use it. I just midterm is a take-home exam. So you can use whatever reference book, whatever calculator, computers, whatever you want to, you can use that. Final exam, well, I'm not proctoring, right? So you can use whatever you want, but it is a timed exam. As I told you, like 1 hour or 2 is given for you guys. So within that time, you need to finish that and submit the answer. Sure, I will upload it to today's questions, but this one is like a very similar, and I just editing a few words and a few concept. Like I think its main idea is coming out from the textbook. If you have a textbook, a practice question may have a lot of this kind of question. So you'd better looking at the exercise question from the textbook. Any textbook has this kind of question. So not even from the Mankiew's book, but other general principle of economics textbook have this kind of questions. So you can find more questions out of it. But anyway, I'll upload this, question for you. Or even I can upload it as that my solution for your reference. And I'm constantly uploading the Zoom video. First one is edited, and then I uploaded my YouTube channel, and then I shared the link out of it. But second one is just uploaded from the Zoom server. I just recorded right now. And then once Zoom sending me the link out of it, I will just share with it. So there is some kind of, place in the iCampus, as you can find it. And yeah, as I think not many students watching it before. So I don't know, even we need it. As long as you are here and then think about correspondingly, we study it and think about it and answer the question, then you don't need that much of it. If you miss it, you can maybe later you can consider that. So somebody, Yejin is so happy about something, but I don't know why. Let me know. What's going on? So you're so happy and smiling? No, not from me. Okay. If you have some interesting story, you can share with us. No? Okay. All right. Any other questions? You'll see. Yeah, similar level of difficulty, I believe. I may add some tricky part of it, but it is not major. Like 10 small question, one out of it can be a little bit tricky, but usually it is not. The difficult level is like today, or you will see before taking the midterm. Next week, we're gonna do the market theory, and we will have some kind of exercise question next week too. So you will see how the content and difficulty in, the question before. And as I told you, you have one full week. In the middle of the week, you can send me a message to ask some question out of it if you cannot figure that out what is going on. So is that clear, Sujin? Good. Any other question? Feel free to use your mic anytime. Well, you guys are so polite to think about your classmate. I want to interfere my classmates' thinking and the time. So very hesitant to use a mic to ask a question. But sometimes it's very helpful. It is not only you to have, you believe that is kind of stupid question, but that is very necessary and essential thing. You guys have those kind of questions, but somebody is too shy, cannot ask a question. Sometimes I learn some kind of insight from your point of view. Oh, that part is very tricky to understand for the beginner or as a student perspective. I didn't realize it. The question I received, and then I learned a lot from that. So please be active to ask a question and answer the question. Be part of the class. I told you, Sunmin. Yeah, usually I do. Previous Zoom meeting or Zoom conference is uploaded in the iCampus. So like a resource for the class, or there is the upside of menu you can see. So yeah, let me summarize then. As I told you this week as a lecture, comparative advantage, the concept itself is very difficult to understand. Now you think that, well, I understand it very clearly and easy to get the concept. But see in the real life, politicians or some of economists cannot figure that out, this concept, like especially in the international trade. International trade field, the difficulty is so many variables. So usually we are not dealing with that many. And yeah, it's a simple model, like a two goods and two country, but two country makes a domestic analysis as double for the analysis, like a two goods, but two country making a two good as a four goods, right? Domestic production and export, and that amount is connected. And technology of each country, we are looking at the table today as a production amount, but sometimes it is analyzing the cost amount. Like in the lecture, we start with how many hours is necessary to produce one good or another good. then that technology can be interpreted as a production amount. So like we have how many laborers are, exist in this economy, and then turning to the production part, like available labor, this economy can produce a certain amount of wheat and some certain amount of computer. By doing so, we can draw PPF. And PPF, building up the PPF or using the table, we can figure out what is opportunity cost of each production of goods. And sometimes it's confused because what is the base? Like today, we calculate the opportunity cost based on the cars, based on the grain. So per production of car, how many give up of grain is necessary as opportunity cost? In other words, it's simply mathematically, we can get that as a slope of PPF based on the x-axis, right? The slope itself, that is opportunity cost, interpreted as producing x-axis good, one more unit, how many y good can be give up, should be give up. That is nothing but opportunity cost. So comparing the opportunity cost, we can figure out exactly with which country has comparative advantage of other. So today's, in the middle of the class, I have questions. If you remember or not, that question, you got the right answer, and the first to respond to me will get the extra credit. I will think about the magnitude of extra credit, but yeah, send me and try it. How to combine two PPF as a worldwide production possibility curve, or how you can, make that as worldwide PPF. What is the right way to combine it? Think about that. Okay, and answer to me. So we understand absolute advantage, right? Which country can produce more efficiently of one good to another? Like a simple example, usually the PPF is shown, directly. So one country has a huge amount of, vertical goods, and another country has huge amount of x-axis good. Then, yeah, it's obvious, right? One country who is good at that is good at the producing of x-axis good, specialized X goods, and another country specialized Y good, and they trade each other by doing so. Huge amount of improvement from the PPF to outside of PPF in their cases. So specialization, absolute advantage. That's original concept of why trade happened and how each country has a benefit out of it. But once we come up with that, like one big country or economy size of economy is huge relative to another. Technology is advanced, really, big relative to the other country. Then, yeah, we don't have any, incentive to trade each other. That's absolute advantage concept. But we figured that out. Under that, two goods, one country have an absolute advantage of two goods. Technology is so advanced, and the capacity of economy is huge relative to another. But there is the way to get the mutual benefit out of it under the concept of comparative advantage. That's what we focusing on, understanding the concept. That's this week lecture. And today's we additionally doing one more example of it. Now you figure out, each one of the small detail to understand the comparative advantage. So as long as you get the concept of comparative advantage, then you can compare to the absolute advantage concept and PPF and, drawing all the things. Now you are kind of master of PPF now, right? Under the sense of this. This model is called Ricardian model. So David Ricardo advocate the concept of comparative advantage. And this is a classical trade theory, the starting point of trade theory, you can say. So using the comparative advantage concept, how trade happens and how do they have gains from trade, the first level. As I told you, two country, two goods, one input. Like we think about the labor, There is no such a combine or combination of capital and labor at this point. But once you move into the international trade field, which the sequence is like this. This one is introduction of microeconomics and intermediate level of micro, and correspondingly you will learn introduction macroeconomics, or intermediate level, and then some kind of subject of economics, like a trade theory based on the microeconomic analysis, like we can see right here. But like if you're moving to the junior year, like a second semester of sophomore, you can get that section to learning about that. But we can exactly learn this by learning PPF. So Ricardian model, classical trade theory, is exactly like that. The concept is starting from here. You may learn a little bit about like numerical value to like symbols of presenting technology and how you can general answer for it. We are using the number example today, but later we will use more symbolic parameters and models, but basically same thing. So we learned PPF, comparative advantage, and concept of international trade, right? So that is basically Ricardian model in trade theory. That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's more than enough today. If you have any question, let me know. So let's finish this. Let's call it a day right here. Any question before I'm going? No question? Okay. So if you have any question, let me know by message or email, whatever method you are comfortable with. I will stay like 5 or 10 more minutes right here. So if you have a private question, stay tuned. And if you're done, yeah, you may leave now. Thanks for coming today. See you next week, everybody.